On Friday. Well, my colleague Karin Giannone is in Pretoria. We can go live to her now. Karin, a dramatic morning, and we still don't know his fate.
We still don't know, Yalda, and we've had one cliffhanger earlier just before the lunch adjournment, and now we're left with another because we had Judge Masipa all but telling us that she finds Oscar Pistorius guilty of culpable homicide relating to the killing of Reeva Steenkamp, but she stopped just short of that, adjourning until tomorrow morning. Just before the lunch break, she left us on a similar cliffhanger, having just delivered the news that she did not find the evidence convincing enough to prove beyond reasonable doubt that Oscar Pistorius was guilty of murder. But just before this adjournment for the night, for the day, she also went into detail about what she viewed Oscar Pistorius' behaviour around the events of that night as being. She said that she was not convinced that a reasonable person would have acted as he did.
If the accused, for example, had awoken in the middle of the night and in darkness saw a silhouette hovering next to his bed, and had, in a panic, grabbed his firearm and shot at that figure, only to find that it was the deceased, his conduct would have been understandable and perhaps excusable. In such a case, he would not have been expected to call security first, as he would have been faced with a real emergency. In this instance, however, this was not the case. The accused had reasonable time to reflect, to think, and to conduct himself reasonably. On the facts of this case, I am not persuaded that a reasonable person with the accused's disabilities in the same circumstances would have fired 4 shots into that small toilet cubicle.
And that was largely leading up to what we thought was going to be Judge Masipa saying that she found Oscar Pistorius negligent and therefore found him guilty of culpable homicide, but she didn't. Although all the legal experts we've been talking to and hearing from seem to be thinking that that is the way this will go once the court reconvenes tomorrow morning. But the earlier judgment that Judge Masipa was reading was relating to premeditated murder, and she cut through so much of the prosecution's earlier evidence that took up days and weeks at the beginning of this trial back in March and April, evidence relating to screams that were heard that night by neighbours, whether that could have been screams of Oscar Pistorius calling for help or screams of a terrified Reeva Steenkamp. She said she didn't want to rely on any of that because it was not proving to her beyond reasonable doubt what had happened. And there was also another bit of circumstantial evidence that was produced during the state's case. It was a sequence of WhatsApp messages, of text messages between the couple in which Reeva Steenkamp told Oscar Pistorius at one point, "You scare me sometimes," and the prosecution made much of that, saying that it indicated a violent and stormy relationship with lots of problems to come. But Judge Masipa had different thoughts, and this is what she had to say.